Rodrigo, though, man of the match as Real Madrid will take a 2-1 advantage into the Metropolitano next Wednesday for the second leg of that tie. For more on this, let's welcome in, shall we? Frank Leboeuf is with us, Mario Melchiot as well. We'll be hearing from the boys in a moment. But overall, Craig, I suppose 2-1, the quality of the goals exceeded the quality that we saw from the rest of the game. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. I think very tense. Obviously, nobody wants to make too many mistakes with another 90 minutes to come. At least 90 minutes. Javi Galan settled into the game. I think that was what we saw there, was a problem that Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo and Mbappe can give you, that is when you're a fullback and you think, right, I'm not going to let him get it to feet, so I'm going to get tight to him. And in getting tight to him, if the centre-half doesn't come across, then I'm leaving myself open to that ball in behind at Valverde. So he's caught between a rock and a hard place. If he tucks himself in, they put it into Rodrigo's feet and he runs at them. And so it's very difficult defensively. Ali mentioned he had a tough time against Lamine Yamal a week or two ago. He had a tough time very early in this game. The finish, though, from Rodrigo, once again, was brilliant. The finish from Alvarez was excellent. The finish from Brahim Diaz was terrific. And when we talk about players that have been big players for Real Madrid over the last 18 months, everybody goes to the usual suspects.
Yeah.
You know, but will Arda Güler come through? Will Endrick come through? What about these superstars? This guy, Ancelotti, has leaned on him quite a lot, either from the start or off the bench, and he has been terrific.
It was weird once it went 2-1, Ali. It was almost like both teams were quite happy with that.
Yeah, Atletico Madrid fell into this sort of rhythm of the match in which they were kind of like, do we go and chase this? Or are we okay with this? And it's sort of in between, because they never really committed too many numbers going forward. They never really actually said, you know what, let's go and see if we can tie this game up. Let's see if we can even this up. It felt almost as if Diego Simeone said, you know, our first priority is going to be, let's be well-structured, well-organized, let's not concede anything else, and we'll see you at the Metropolitano next week. So much so that when you look at players coming off the field from Atletico Madrid and you're trailing 2-1, and the number 7 comes up and it's Antoine Griezmann, and you go, wait, where is he going? Because if you're trying to chase this game, if you're trying to score a goal, if you're actually trying to push forward, you would think that Antoine Griezmann would be very much in the middle of all that action. Well, that wasn't the case, which actually tells you that Simeone, if they stumble upon a goal late, great. But priority number 1 was, let's keep this at a 1-goal difference. I suppose it's expected to some degree, but if you saw the middle part of this game, certainly the second half of the first 45 minutes and the early part of the second half, you're thinking, you know what? Atletico Madrid were dominating the possession. They were dominating in the midfield. Rodrigo de Paul and Pablo Barrios were outplaying Camavinga and Tchouaméni, and it felt like the momentum was with Atletico Madrid. And so, while I understand the thought process of Diego Simeone, it goes back to what is his go-to, and his go-to is, I'm going to be conservative, and let's see what happens in the second leg. And I think there was an opportunity here to push Real Madrid. They didn't. They chose to sit back, absorb some pressure, and keep this game at a 1-goal difference.
But surprisingly, they had a control in this game.
Very much so, yeah.
The stats changed towards the end, 52-48 in Real Madrid's favour if you're into your possession. But at half-time, that wasn't the case. It was much more possession football from Atletico Madrid. It was control in the middle of the park without doing anything outlandish or outrageous, in terms of committing bodies forward. And we haven't seen that a lot from Atleti. But in a lot of games, against mediocre sides, we really haven't seen it against the big guys. We've seen them play Barcelona and have success, but be completely dominated. So that was a little bit of a surprise, which I think just leaves it as a real head-scratcher for the second leg.
Frank, what's interesting, obviously, you take a look at this Real Madrid side, and it's that front 3 that really catch the eye. Rodrigo very much third in the priority behind Mbappe and Vinicius Junior. Yet he was the only one who did really anything in the final third today. Mbappe and Vinicius Junior were very average.
True, and worrying for me, especially from Mbappe. I saw him walking so many times because defensively, Atletico Madrid decided to be very tight, very narrow, low on the field. Therefore, you go against what Mbappe loves, spaces. can use his pace and using everything you have behind the defense. He couldn't use that because Atletico Madrid decided to be solo, so he didn't almost exist. Vinicius Junior, we didn't see him too much. He had some chances, but he made the wrong choice, and it's true. Rodrigo and also Brahim Diaz, which I think was the best player from Real Madrid, in my opinion, because he worked defensively, were the only two working and surprising Atletico Madrid, because they were coming from the midfield, the middle of the park, in contrary of the two at front, who in fact didn't have any space, couldn't do anything much, and didn't even try to do anything.
Mario, is it fair to say Real Madrid slightly fortunate to take a lead into this second leg?
I mean, yeah, of course, because I think prior to the game, I'm sure they knew there was going to be a tough game. And Fini said it before the game. He made a comment and saying like, hey, the way we played the weekend, we cannot afford to start the game against Atletico like this. But it kicked off really well. I think if you saw the situation, you talked about Rodrigo, what he kicked off, his speed was incredible. I think as a defender, me being a defender, I always thought like the first couple of races you got to win. But the first two races, he actually lost, and when that happens, you understand, you start thinking about it. And then it kicked off like later on. And what I saw at Madrid, I was really surprised by. They did not mind in a couple of moments in the game allowing Atletico to have the ball. They didn't mind that. And look at the speed what he uses here. And this is too early. 4 minutes in the game, this was this goal. But you as a defender, when that ball goes on the inside of you, because he wanted to be tight on him, because he thought if you get it in your feet, I'm going to be tight on you. But he forgot about the space behind him. And Rodrigo, like we talk about the other ones, Fini is quick, Mbappe is quick, but he is lightning quick too. So if you want to play against a kid like that, you got to really know how many meters you got behind you. And then later on, when the game kicked off, okay, you already highlighted it, but even the way he made that goal, he comes inside. Oh, it was beautiful and calmly.
Did you see where Javi Galan was there, though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And did you see where Longley was? That's your typical.
So why didn't?
That's your typical centre back who's saying, Frank will tell you, I do not want to be out there getting hung out to dry.
Given the vulnerability that we saw early on from Atleti, why didn't Real Madrid go for it more? Why didn't they go for the jugular once they took that lead?
Because I think actually Atleti grew in with this control of the game. And they took the sting out of Real Madrid for long periods, and that's credit to Atleti for that. And started to pass it around, and all of a sudden Real Madrid sort of dropped off a little bit. And I think that was more Atleti getting control of the game than Real Madrid sort of losing control, if you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, I think credit to Atletico Madrid the way they played today in terms of the middle of the park. I think they could still create more with the possession going forward. But that's going to be intriguing because we got a glimpse of what this Real Madrid side are all about in that opening 10 minutes with that pace and that, that directness. But I think it sums up the day when Mbappe has a simple ball first time to Vinicius Junior and he takes another touch. Yeah. And that just allows the defenders and Marcus Llorente to get back in and challenge. So, from Real Madrid's perspective, they've won the game. Two of their superstars had mediocre days. You have to feel a little bit for Rodrigo in the sense that it seems that no matter what he does, he'll always be the third person in that choir.
Yeah.
To further the point on Kylian Mbappe, and while I understand what Frank is saying, that with Atletico Madrid it's difficult to find those spaces because they have so many numbers behind the ball, there was a sequence of play in which the ball pops open to Kylian Mbappe over the top, 1v1 situation, over distance against Jose Maria Jimenez. Look, it's the one chance that you have to run, and he made the choice to actually slow the play down. That's when you know that he wasn't quite feeling himself today. Because as any player would do in that sort of circumstance, when you have a mismatch in speed, I'm going to speed it up even more. I'm going to utilize my speed to get in behind. I haven't had a chance to utilize my speed and my skill set. And here it is. Isolated against Jose Maria Jimenez, who's struggling to make up the difference. This happened in the second half. Instead of actually getting after Jose Maria Jimenez, what does he do? He slows it down, allows Jimenez to now get in a position where he can defend. Then the danger is all gone. It's just an example of when a player is not quite seeing the clear picture that he should be seeing, that would allow him to complete that first-time pass to
Vini Jr. in what would have been a tap-in and 3-1 for Real Madrid.
Mario, is it a stretch to say that Julian Alvarez is one of the best players in the world at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, you know why we always highlight him. You know why? Because we look at City, and the way City is now, and sorry for calling that team, but it's a person they need right now. And how he came there, and he was looking to get more minutes. He wanted to play more. He wanted to have more freedom. And look what this kid done. He came there with a price tag that people talked about. But then the way he's playing, he's using all his ability. And every game, he fits perfectly in that team because, the team is about, they mean business when they play. And when we don't see that, that's when we feel like what's happening with them. And this is a player that can handle all that because up front, he's always busy. Playing against a player like him that's always on the move is the most annoying thing to do. I can tell you, there is no defender in the world. You understand? Frank is sitting there too. If you have someone in front of you that's always moving, you don't like that because you prefer him to be static, but this kid, he's got it all. The way he bent that ball in the far corner, Courtois was watching, but the way he did, at the moment when he came inside, I didn't even thought he was going to hit it straight away. But, oh my God, it's just, quality is on it and power. And, yeah, very good player.
I don't think Ancelotti will be too happy with the Camavinga challenge,
No.
if I'm being honest with you. But the answer to your question is yes. He had a slow start, spent a fair chunk of time on the bench at the start of the season. We were wondering where it was all going to fit in from. Even a discussion, has he made a mistake? Of course, that was before he started scoring wonder goals and Man City fell off this gigantic cliff. We also wondered if it was going to be a sort of big man, small man with Sorloth and Alvarez, but that's not been the case either. Sorloth's been used to come on with Correa and change games, and he's actually forged a really good understanding and partnership with Antoine Griezmann. And he's been terrific. I think there was a lot of questions at the price tag. Was it around 70 million or thereabouts at the start? Particularly when a player starts slowly. Have we wasted money, have we done this? But he has everything. Apart from the physical presence, he has the movement, he has the pace, he has the work rate. He's scoring some wonderful goals and he's a team player. And I think for all those reasons, he is at this moment in time one of the best front guys around. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
You think about how much of a mismatch it was Joao Felix at Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
How that just was never going to work. That Diego Simeone and Joao Felix just don't speak the same language when it comes to how to approach the game. Julian Alvarez speaks the same language as Diego Simeone when it comes to playing the game and the way that they approach it. And everything that he does, of course he has the qualities to finish the chances in the way that he did today. But all of it comes first and foremost from something that you just mentioned there, work rate. And that team player attitude that we have seen from Julian Alvarez with the Argentina national team and that we see with Atletico Madrid is in his makeup to do a lot of the things that are considered to be the dirty work, sacrifices himself for the group. But what makes him different from other players that sacrifice themselves for the group is that he actually has the quality to also score goals with consistency. That's what separates him now, and that's what makes him one of the best players in the world.
And he was right to put his head above the parapet, wasn't he?
Most definitely, yeah.
And say, listen, at the time we all thought City were going to continue to be dominant, pretty much. Champions League, Premier League, best manager in the world at the time. Rodri was still fit, Erling, and he's thought about it. It's not that he's gone to he's gone to a huge club in Atletico Madrid, a big club, of course he has, but not one that's guaranteed to be, at the business end in every competition. Probably will be this year, but not guaranteed. And he instead of sitting there saying, well, I'll play my 25 games at Man City, most of them coming off the bench or doing this or that or playing on the left. No, I want to go there and I'm a World Cup winner and I want to make my mark as somebody that's on that team sheet, week in, week out, showing what I can do rather than being a bit of an afterthought to the time, the Kevin De Bruyne's, the Bernardo Silvas, Jack Grealish and Erling Haaland. He's gone there and he's making himself the #1 guy. Fair play to him for that.
But for you, Frank, it was Brahim Diaz that should have won man of the match. Just talk us through his goal for us.
Well, he invented a new trick, how to take on a player by twisting your ankle. that's what it was, and it worked very well. But as Craig mentioned, after the reaction that he has after that is unbelievable, because he reacts very well, and he's quite fortunate in the action, but his little steps made the difference, and I love that player. I mean, he's been absolutely terrific since lately, those 3-4 last games, and he makes the difference. He was working so hard defensively. He was going forward and made so many differences. He scored a goal. Yeah, I think he should have deserved to get the player of the game. But can I go back to Alvarez? I mean, I highly rank Alvarez. You know that just for fun, I put him as a Ballon d'Or like some years ago because he won 4 trophies. But I'm so glad we talk about him, because he's the kind of player you want to play with, because you know the commitment that he has. He's a perfect teammate for everybody, even for the defenders, because you know that he won't let you go. He will work hard for you, and as Ali said, he will score goals. And he's typically the kind of striker you need and you want in your team. And he proves that he's always right. He has the feeling, and it's true. Leaving Manchester City was quite of a wondering. Going to Atletico Madrid was another wondering. But he was right everywhere. So well done, my man.
Has a cat just entered your office, Frank?
I believe so.
Can we see a cat behind you?
I believe so.
Excuse me again? Say again?
There's a cat behind you.
As a defender?
Meow.
Oh, well, that's the new cat. That was, she left. That's Zoe.
Oh.
That's
Yes.
my third, that's our third cat. Yeah, I'm sorry. She's very interesting about you, so she wanted to see you.
No, of course, I understand that.
You don't have a door in that office. Shut the door.
The second leg of that tie, Real Madrid, of course, will go into favourites, but just one goal separates those two city rivals going into that second leg. March the 12th. We've got a lot of time to talk about this game, the second leg. Anyone go for Atletico Madrid? No.
Oh, as you said, we have a lot of time to talk.
Okay, well, that's fair enough.
Build up.
Mario, Atletico Madrid or Real Madrid? Who have we got?
Real Madrid, my friend. I'm so sorry. I like the speed of fun that Madrid has.